In this class, we'll be discussing cross-elastic demand. Cross-elastic demand measures the degree of responsiveness of the quantity demanded for a commodity to a change in the price of the related commodity. In other words, the cross-elastic demand measures the degree of responsiveness, that's our responsiveness, of the quantity demanded for a commodity, that is for a good, to a change in the price of a related commodity. To a change in the price of a related commodity. So the related commodity can be a complementary good or a competitive good, or what is also known as substitute. For example, we say related, okay, now we say related commodities, we are talking about related commodities. Commodities are divided into two, okay? We can have what we call complementary goods too. We can have what the complementary goods are also called joint goods. Okay? So we can also have what we call competitive goods. Okay? Competitive goods or what is also known as substitute. Complementary goods are goods that are consumed together. For example, we can talk about bread and butter, we can talk about car and fuel, we can talk about tea and milk, and so on and so forth. So what are competitive goods? Competitive goods are goods that can replace each other. For example, beef and fish. Bonfita and Milo, all these are competitive goods because they can replace each other. Okay, let's first deal with complementary goods in order to understand this. So let's pick two complementary goods. Let's say car and fuel. Okay, car and fuel. Now, when the price of car increases, so people will buy few cars and therefore less fuel. Okay. Now, in this case, we want to know how responsive the quantity demanded for fuel to a change in the price of car. Okay, to a change in price of car. So, in other words, in this case, if the price of car rises, we expect the quantity demanded for car to fall, and therefore when the quantity demanded for car fall, so few people will now demand for fuel. There are few people that are using car will now demand for fuel. In other words, the quantity demanded for fuel, will also fall. In other words, when the summary is that an increase in the price of car, okay, will lead to a decrease in the price of fuel. Okay, but for a competitive good, like let's say Bonfita and Milo, okay, we want to know how responsive the quantity demanded for Bonfita to the price of Milo. Okay, we expect if the price of Milo increases, okay, we expect consumer to switch. Okay, at least some consumer will switch from Milo to Bonfita. Therefore, the quantity demanded for Bonfita will rise, while the quantity demanded for Milo will fall. In other words, the summary is that if the price of Milo rises, I'm talking about complementary good here, if the price of Milo rises, that will translate into a decrease in the quantity demanded for Milo, and the effect is that this decrease, that people that have withdrawn from the demand for Milo, they switch to Bonfita. In other words, the quantity demanded for Bonfita will then rise. So the summary of this is that the price of Milo rises. Okay, the price of Milo rises, and the end result is that the quantity demanded for Bonfita will rise. So you can see that here the relationship that will occur here is positive. For complementary good, it is positive. Okay, because both the price and the quantity demanded move in the same direction. But for complementary good, so they move in opposite direction. It is negative. Okay. Now, having understood this, so let's talk about the measurement of the cross section of demand. Now, let me explain that the cross section of demand. Now, when I say cross section of demand is can be measured by the percentage change in the quantity demanded for, let's say, good A, that is for one commodity, divided by percentage change in the price of good B. Okay, it can also be the quantity percentage change in the quantity demand and for good B, then divided by percentage change in the price of good A. So depends on the quantity demanded. We want to say the response. Okay. So this alternatively it can be written as change in quantity demanded for A divided by change in price of B, then multiply by the initial price, okay, the initial price of would be, that is P1 of B, divided by the quantity, the initial quantity demanded of good A. So we can also compute the cross section of demand using this formula. Okay. In other words, this cross section of the demand, the coefficient can be negative or positive, just like in commerce of demand. Therefore, if the coefficient of cross section of demand, if it is negative, okay, if it is negative, it means we are dealing with complementary goods. Complementary, or what is called joint goods. That is, consumers are consuming these goods together. But if the cross section of demand coefficient is positive, it means the goods in question are substitutes. That is, they are competitive, competitive goods. Okay. And at times you might have the coefficient of cross section of demand being equal to 0. If it's equal to 0, it means the goods are independent. The goods are independent. That is, not related. The goods are not related. Non-related goods. The goods are non-related. In our next class, we'll be talking about, we'll be solving a practice question on how to compute and interpret this cross section of the demand. Don't forget to like this video, drop your comment, follow this page, and also share the video to benefit others. Bye.